The sea is vast. It covers more than 3/4 of the globe. It is deeper than the tallest mountain. We call our planet Earth, but more truly it is the planet water. Waves break upon rock, but in the end it is rock which is broken by waves. The shorelines of the world, endlessly shaped by the hammer of sea against stone. The oceans, a global thermostat, cooling hot lands, warming cold, holding Earth's climate in the delicate balance of its currents and winds. The sun's warmth drawing moisture from the sea. Clouds forming and blowing landwards, bringing rain. The rain returning by stream and river once more to the sea, where the cycle begins anew. Water on its ceaseless round, always ending and always beginning in the sea. The sea is the world's water, and all that grows, all that lives, is water's work. The sea has always been a source of poetry and song, of legend and romance. A treasure chest of sponges and shells, corals and pearls. But at the same time, awesome. An angry god to be appeased with ritual. To enter it is to brave its perils. Although we seem to swim in it like fish, we are air-breathing mammals. Underwater, we can neither breathe, smell, nor speak. Without grotesque and unnatural equipment, life expectancy would be 3 minutes. Even near the safety of shore, fascination is tinged with fear. Like all land animals, we approach water with caution. So it is that the sea, however calm, is an element alien to man, and the land, however rough, is his home. But home is only a quarter of the world's surface. 4,000 million people, and every 6 days, 1 million more. Once we could sail away and find new lands to farm. But all the fertile land has long since been cultivated, and some even lost beneath towns and cities. Despite intensive agriculture, many still go hungry, and many more depend on shipments from overseas. Food from across the sea. But what of the food that is in it? Water and sunlight bring life. Since water covers most of the globe, most of our sunlight must fall on it. Most of the world's life should be in the sea, both plants and the creatures that feed on them. It should be our richest source of food. But as well as sunlight and water, plants need nutrients. On land, these three ingredients for growth meet in the top few inches of soil. At sea, the surface is lit, but the nutrients sink. The surface is on average 2 miles above the seabed, where the nutrients lie wasted in darkness. Plant life is sparse, fish few. The central oceans are the world's greatest deserts. But where the sea is shallow, there it is rich. Life, vivid and varied, flourishing as in a sudden summer. In less than 1/10 of its waters, where rising currents lift nutrients to the sunlight, above all in the shelf areas, which are the continent's true edges, the sea is lavish. If the great oceans were all like this, they could feed the world with ease. But they are almost barren. Only in a few favored areas is it worth the fisherman's while to spread his net. The harvest of the sea. On land, we have been farmers for thousands of years. But at sea, we are hunters still. Taking and not replacing. Harvesting a crop we did not sow. In the 50s and 60s, fish yields rose steeply. The only food supply to grow faster than populations. But many catches are now falling, and everywhere prices are rising. Catches falling. Fishing nations at daggers drawn. The painful process of accepting limits and adopting quotas has only just begun, but we must learn to live with them. We can no longer afford to squander the sea's resources in short-sighted rivalry. Nor can we afford to waste what the sea does provide. There are many more edible species of fish than we choose to eat. We've not only hunted our closest fishing grounds hardest, we've been killing our favorite fish fastest. Canning and freezing have quickened the pace. Preserving the catch has increased the supply, but making fish available to people far inland has raised demand even more. Yet the land still provides 7 times more protein than the world's fisheries, and there's faint hope that fishing as we've known it can ever do better. The carp-crowded fish ponds of ancient China suggest another way. Fish farming. By intensive feeding and excluding pests and predators, yields can be revolutionized. Fish fatten quickly, and the feed can be made from fish wastes once thrown to the gulls, or from proteins we can make but do not eat ourselves. In Scotland, as in many parts of Europe, it has started on a modest scale, as a luxury industry aimed at the gourmet market. But as conventional catches fall, it could well grow and be applied to many more species. At last, the hunter is learning from the farmer, and the West borrowing wisdom from the East. Cultured pearls, grown inside oysters, are riches won from the sea through man's insight into a natural process. This same understanding could win us even more food. Shellfish, hung from racks in tidal shallows. They need neither feeding nor caging, and they yield well. Indeed, such water can produce more than the richest land at far less cost. In deeper bays, the shells are suspended from floats or rafts. And though Japan uses only a fraction of her sheltered waters, she is able to farm 1/5 of her sea produce, comparable in value to Britain's entire catch. Sea farming is a major advance in the history of husbandry. But there is also a major obstacle in its path. It can only flourish in clean coastal waters, and the coast is where industry now hits hardest. The two can coexist, but only where their inherent conflict is resolved, where the threat of pollution has been removed. The coast, compounding the busyness of land and sea. A crowded corridor of conflicting demands. Irreconcilable unless we learn to manage the seas and the land's edges as one unified coastal zone. High rise begins where high tide ends. Millions of us longing to live beside beaches, to watch water from our windows, shaping our coasts in the image of cities we came to the coast to avoid. We have made a septic tank of our coastal waters. The squalor of sewage, the floating filth of ports and docks. Beaches denied alike to pleasure and profit. The sea's edge, a gathering ground for the land's garbage. Today, there is no coast too distant to avoid the mess. No sea too remote to escape the taint of man. The serpent of spilt oil. For long an affront to nature. Now an offence against international law. So too with our industrial and domestic wastes. For years, we used our rivers as sewage lines to the sea. Now the cleanup has begun, and with it, the realization that the sea can no longer be regarded as our cesspool of last resort, as the ultimate spittoon of mankind. So far, chronic pollution is local and close to shore, a sickness within our power to cure. But even a healthy sea needs protection. The world's underwater playgrounds, 20 years ago unvisited, are now meccas of international tourism. The scourge of spearfishing, the tramp of thousands of flippered feet, the foraging for corals and shells. Such places are having to be protected as urgently as endangered areas on land. The sea is as much a part of our environmental heritage as the land, and as much our responsibility. This understanding has come at a time when the area of our responsibility is growing, expanding into deeper waters, far offshore. The sea holds minerals decisive for our future. At present, production is small, with the major exceptions of oil and gas. Offshore oil is the biggest marine adventure since the voyages of discovery, bringing the energy resources of the world's shelf areas within our reach at last. And with it, a sudden enlargement of our experience of the sea, a growing confidence beneath its surface, a new type of industrial man to whom work underwater is a daily routine. An advance not just technological but psychological, which will take us further into deeper waters yet. And so these rigs are a forward frontier, a crucial test not only of our technical ingenuity, but of our newfound sense of obligation to the sea. We must bring to it the same prudence and skill we have already learned to apply on land. Meanwhile, science reaches even further, even deeper, reading an ocean's history from the oozes and clays of its floor. We are poised on the edge of a major adventure as we prepare our exploration vehicles to probe the unknown depths. The oceanographer's frontier is the formation of Earth itself. Here he seeks not the oldest, but the youngest rocks, from the mid-ocean ridges, where new seabed is being made, the centers of spreading from which the continents are drifting apart. From pure science come discoveries of great practical value too. Nodules like these lie thick in the deep oceans. To raise them economically would multiply world resources of manganese, nickel and copper several times. The first fruits from the deep oceans, the major part of our planet's surface. Today, there are some 850 scientific institutions at work in the seas and oceans. And though we still understand far less than we do of the land, knowledge is growing faster than at any time since man first fathomed the deep. From the man and woman in the street, too, a quickening interest. A new sense of our dependence on the sea, and its dependence on us. Of sea and land as twin aspects of one world. But awareness and concern are only a beginning. The judgment of future generations will be passed on what we actually achieve. We may reach towards a better future, but we are rooted in a brutal past. A past that kept the land for husbandry and left the sea to butchery. Man needs the sea's continuing harvest. But extinction is absolute, the end of all benefit for all time. For centuries, we have looked landwards, seeing the sea merely as gaps between, crossing its surface with little concern for what lay beneath. The time is past when we can seek new lands, build again, start afresh. But below are resources which could help turn shortage to surplus, meeting needs which the land alone is hard put to provide. Meanwhile, time presses. Despite all our efforts, the age-old problems persist. We are still failing to provide the world's food, still failing to share the world's wealth. Much of mankind is still poor and short of food, and there will be no miracle of loaves and fishes unless we ourselves perform it. Loaves and fishes, land and sea together. Not two different elements, but a single unity. The environment that sustains us all, as individuals, as nations, as the people of one world. We must make a lasting commitment to the sea and bring to its management only the best we have learned on land. For a healthy sea is a wealthy sea, not just gaps between lands, but the very life stream of our planet water.